Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BSC News Live. Thank you very much for tuning in, as always. Obviously, quite a an interesting day today in the world of crypto with the recent Paxos news. I'll just quickly do a quick recap. So we released a short on our YouTube and Twitter. However, so a statement from Paxos was released this morning, and a little excerpt from it. Effective February the 21st, Paxos will cease issuance of new BUSD tokens as directed by and working in close coordination with New York Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS. So from February the 21st, BUSD, as instructed by the NYDFS, is no longer going to be minting new BUSD tokens. Interesting times. Ben, as always, great to have you here. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I guess a lot of thoughts. And also, sorry, my camera's not working today. I don't know the deal with that, so I'm going as just a B today.
Nice.
So also, like, there's a lot. It's early in this like news event, right? So there's been a lot of statements circulating and opinions and articles and whatever. And it's kind of like we just woke up to this. I think I knew before this morning. I knew that they had the SEC was like, it got leaked that they might sue Paxos. And it kind of went from that to Paxos has to shut down BUSD. It seems right now, like following the Kraken news, that the SEC really wants all of these products regulated underneath them. They want people registering all these different products. BUSD and stablecoins in general are interesting because if you mint BUSD from Paxos, they are investing the money that you mint. Now, they're not giving you a return on their investment. That's how Paxos makes money, right? They take the dollar, they give you a BUSD, and they invest that dollar into treasuries, basically, and they earn interest on it. So is it a security? Is it not a security? It meets some of the securities laws. It doesn't meet the one where in the Howey test about investing with an expectation of profit, because you are not expecting profit from Paxos. But it's still, and then the thing was, it's been regulated this whole time. It's been transparent this whole time. So I think this is the SEC really just clamping down on the space and saying everything needs to be registered with us. At least that's, the argument here. And it sounds like it's the end of BUSD to me. Anything can change, anything can happen, but that's just what it sounds like right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's concern, I know it might be quite a knee-jerk reaction, is the value going to depeg from $1? At the moment, it's pretty much remained at $1. Obviously, we can see a little dip in the chart that I've got up here. However, in the grand scheme of things, depegging to 0.995 is, not. I wouldn't really call that a depeg. So it's held up reasonably well, I think, with the brunt force of the news. But in the long term, do you think we're going to see a change in the value of BUSD?
We might on the market, but that is an opportunity. So if BUSD is backed properly, anytime it depegs, that's an opportunity for someone to purchase it and then go exchange it with Paxos for $1. So, Binance could probably provide. I mean, they'll make if it drops to 97 cents, someone can go make 3% and like without any real risk, right? So it might, like, actually I was kind of thinking that too. Like, is everyone gonna go dump on BNB chain, which will cause a quote unquote deep peg in that liquidity market, but then Binance could simply buy the BUSD and go exchange it for $1. So I don't think we see a depeg. I think it's just going to be like an unwind of BUSD, I guess is the term. I don't know.
Yeah,
Of people exchanging it for dollars.
indeed. And so say if that did happen, there was a depeg, and BUSD lost its value from $1. Do you know the steps perhaps in how people would go around giving their BUSD to Paxos to claim the backed $1 each for $1 BUSD?
Yeah, you just go register on their site. There is a like KYC process and due diligence process. So you have to go through that kind of like you would with any financial entity. And then, I've never done it, so I don't know the exact steps, but I would assume you register, you'll connect a bank account, whatever, you'll send your BUSD to Paxos, and I think it will have to be ERC20. So you'll have to bridge it over to Ethereum, and then you could send it to them. And I'm just speculating that they'll, deposit money into your bank account.
Indeed, yeah. So I've actually got an account on Paxos. I made one before this to try and sort of show what it's like, how to do it, and things. So I've got it up in front of me now, but I'm just double checking that none of my personal details will pop up on the screen. It does look fairly straightforward. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to share the screen now. Hold on just a second. Fine. Okay, so if you create an account on Paxos, like Ben said, yeah, you will have to do KYC. So I've done the KYC process. It was fairly quick. I think it might have been like an AI type KYC where it sort of automatically sees, you've got legit stuff or something. I don't know how it works. Anyway, here it is. So as you can see, yeah, you can deposit by BUSD. Yeah, so it is fairly straightforward on their site. In terms of withdrawing to a bank account, I don't know the steps for that, how easy, how hard it is to do. One thing at the moment that is a little bit frustrating for me as a UK user, I can't buy GBP on the Binance exchange. Whenever I try to do it, it comes up with this is under maintenance. However, I can see on the chart that loads of other people are trading it. So I don't know why I can't do it, but seemingly there's still trading happening on the Binance exchange, which is weird. Do you know why that might be, Ben?
So if you had it, could you trade it, or you can't? Like you can't trade Bitcoin for it right now, is what you're saying?
So if I go on GBP/USDT, so I have USDT, I'm going to try a market buy of GBP, and it says under maintenance. This service is currently under maintenance. Please try again later. So I can't trade anything for GBP, but other people, the chart's moving, and there are trades coming in and out. Market and limit orders. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Did lots of people want to do what I did, which was essentially buy GBP and withdraw it to their bank account, but now they've got a limited amount of GBP in their reserves, which they might do, because I imagine GBP on Binance isn't the most popular asset. So yeah, for the moment I'm sort of stuck a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. The trades could be like market makers are still keeping prices in line with where they should be. I think it's interesting that you can't even trade it. That's not something that gets paused often, right?
No.
Typically they would pause withdrawals or deposits, but not like the trading of an asset.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm on a 15-minute chart and I can see new limit orders, new market orders happening. It might just be something wrong with my Binance desktop application. I'm going to try it for my phone and see if that works. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating. But in terms of other stable coins and the future of stable tokens, what do you think could happen? For example, USDT and USDC. There's lots of stable tokens. Do you think that the future is positive for stable tokens? I mean, what do you think could happen? Say, I don't know, what are we going to be like 5 years down the line, maybe?
Oh, I would worry about a month down the line. So what we don't know yet is like what's the real problem the SEC has with BUSD? Is it because there's a foreign entity sponsor profiting off of it? So in part of this marketing agreement, I believe Binance gets a share of revenue from BUSD. Now, is that a problem the SEC has? Does that violate a rule? Uh, I think, see, that's the thing is we still need to wait for all the clarification on this from the SEC. And right now we can really just speculate, like, what's the issue? Is it, they didn't register as a security? It's kind of nonsense to penalize them looking backwards if there was no clear guidance, right? Like, why don't know why they wouldn't just say, hey, you need to do this moving forward. Is Binance being attached to it even as a marketing situation an issue? It could be. So, like Coinbase exclusively uses USDC. Coinbase is a publicly traded US company. Circle is a US company. Is Circle registered as a security? Right? I doubt it. But like, so it's kind of like, is the SEC picking a winner right now, a low risk winner? Or are they basically gonna say, we're comfortable with USDC and how it operates. We're not comfortable with BUSD and its ties with a foreign entity, so we want to shut it down. That's bullshit. I don't believe the SEC should be doing stuff like that. But we don't know. USDT is the least clear of all of them in any way, shape, or form. So I would probably steer clear of USDT at this point. Like at least with BUSD, it's transparent. We know that the funds are there, right? To essentially take the supply of BUSD down to zero. It's possible. With USDT, we don't know. So that's kind of a risk there. With USDC, I don't think there would be a lot of concern there. And I guess we just have to wait to see, like, what is this really all about? Like, what's the decision-making process from the SEC? And they will eventually have to tell us.
Yeah. It's not very good being left in limbo. But one thing that... sorry, can you hear my dog, by the way, doing that strange woof?
Yeah, it's okay. It's a little dog noise.
One thing that is a little bit reassuring is that BUSD is not an algorithmic stablecoin. So a lot of people might be thinking at the moment, thinking back to UST. So here's the chart for UST when it started its depeg, and you can see here that it's a lot quicker. So the depeg, started and went down a bit, and then really did obviously go very much down indeed. So this sort of thing, a little bit of volatility might be displayed on charts. I imagine, like it has done recently. There wasn't much of a depeg at all. 0.995, I think. But because it is backed, apparently, I don't expect this sort of thing at all. What do you think, Ben? I'm personally.
It's a totally different. It's a totally different product.
Good. Okay.
There was no one holding cash and treasuries to go exchange your UST for. It just didn't exist. So completely different thing. Technically, if they didn't manage the treasuries well and they have to start selling US treasuries at a loss, there could be some amount of issue there. But that's like a much lower, again, like it's not going to go to zero. So like, let's say they had some long-term treasuries that they bought at $1, and currently if they sold them on the market to get cash, they're at 98 cents, right? You have like a 2% loss on your BUSD or something. So like there's always this risk when you're backing dollars with treasuries that there could be a tiny depeg, but not like a straight to zero kind of thing. It's not the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be the same. Well, that I personally think it's incredibly unlikely for the same sort of snowball effect to happen with BUSD, just because one's an algorithmic stablecoin, the other one is backed by Paxos, which they say is regulated, or Paxos say is regulated by one of the big four accountancy firms. So seemingly it's a lot safer. CZ has shared his thoughts as well, and a little bit of sort of updates from his side. And I know a lot of people might be thinking now, well, why aren't you using dark mode? Well, because when I use dark mode, for some reason the text stays black. So it's black on black and my screen is completely black. So otherwise I would. However, I'm stuck with this. Anyway, so this is what CZ says about the current BUSD situation. In summary, BUSD is issued and redeemed by Paxos, and funds are SAFU. I don't want to, sound fuddy at all, but that reminded me of an exchange a while back when the head of that said all funds are safe. A couple of days later, look what happened. But it's an entirely different situation. Okay, entirely different. Next tweet from CZ. We were informed by Paxos they have been directed to cease minting new BUSD by the New York Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS. Paxos is regulated by NYDFS. BUSD is a stablecoin wholly owned and managed by Paxos. As a result, BUSD market cap will only decrease over time. So how does that work? Will it? How is the market cap going to decrease? Would it not just stay the same, or are they talking about, I don't know, people accidentally sending it to the burn address or something?
No, it'll decrease as people. Well, so like as users on Binance are going to trade it to USDC, Binance has to go give Paxos BUSD to get dollars, and then go to Circle and issue new USDC. So because everyone's going to slowly get out of BUSD or quickly, we'll see. There's still an absurd amount of BUSD liquidity on BNB chain alone. So the liquidity is still there, but over time, the shift will go away from BUSD, and the exchanges that kind of manage this liquidity for the market will have to go redeem the BUSD for dollars. And because there's no new mints, the supply and market cap will just eventually hit zero. Right? Like eventually there will be no. It sounds like the SEC basically said, it's time to shut it down. And really what the SEC is doing, like with what they did with Kraken, they're kind of, I mean, it's like strong arming these companies, right? It's like, all right, you could like fight this, or you're just going to do the thing that we're telling you to do. And like, do you want to fight it and spend tens of millions of dollars in legal fees over the next 5 years of your existence and ultimately probably lose, or just comply? Obviously, Paxos seems to have quickly decided to comply. Like, it doesn't sound like they're putting up a fight. They're just like, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah. Do you want us to do a Ripple to you and, stagnate your product for...
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like, I'm sure they'll get a fine. They'll settle, some amount of millions of dollars, and they'll just wind down the product, and it'll take time, but it seems like this, like ultimately the SEC also doesn't want this blowing up because, well, Paxos holds a lot of treasuries. Do you want them panic selling treasuries on the US Treasury market? No. You want this to happen over time, and that's what'll happen. Now, Paxos has another stable coin. So is this just going to be a process of, so that's what makes me think, is this a Binance marketing problem for the SEC? Is it really about the fact that they didn't register as a security when, these stablecoin providers probably didn't see themselves as securities?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's tough. I think we'll just find out. Like by the end of this week, we'll probably know a lot more than we do now.
Hopefully. And in your personal opinion, do you think the SEC has the American, but also the general population's best interests at heart, or do you think they're trying to perhaps, that there's some ulterior motive, like they're trying to protect the fiat US dollar, and they're anti-crypto to an extent? Obviously, if you don't want to answer that on stream,
I'll answer that. That's fine. I don't mind taking the controversial take that they have two interests. One is the consumer. The other is the stability of like financial markets. And so let's paint a scenario where BUSD becomes a $10 trillion stablecoin asset. And let's say it's not really properly regulated. It could pose a systemic risk to like the treasury market. Yeah, because they could just be like buying tons of treasuries to back this up. Everything's great when the getting's good, right? They'll make a lot of interest on all these deposits. However, what happens when there's a bank run? What if they don't have enough treasuries to back it up? What if it was mismanaged? What if there's just a market dump of $1 trillion worth of treasuries? And this scenario is not out of the question, right? So I don't see a problem with companies needing to follow the rules that currently exist. Like, this isn't just a crypto thing, right? Paxos is issuing kind of like a money market. It's like running a money market in the background. And it just has to be like, there's rules. It is what it is.
Indeed. Yeah. I'm on BSC scan at the moment, and unfortunately it's not updated to today, so we can't actually see the on-chain analytics directly from BSC scan. However, about a week ago or so, there was a real big spike in transactions, as you can see here. So did some entity sort of know about this beforehand and transfer there? Because this, hold on, I'm just going to, it has been, if you look at, say, throughout the year, obviously there was that one massive transaction there, but the transactions suddenly start getting very big about a week ago, just here, which is interesting. I don't know if the current news and that could tie in with what's going on, but who knows? Hopefully, as you said, Ben, things will get a little bit more clear within a week or so.
I think so. And I'm sure we'll keep seeing these cases of the SEC basically saying, like, you should have registered your product. Like, that's basically what they said to Kraken. Like, you didn't register the staking product. Can you hear my kids in the background? They're kind of
barely, but it's lovely to hear, children.
Lovely to hear whiny children in the background. It's a type of thing where, like, if I'm giving Kraken my crypto to stake on my behalf, they now have ownership of the crypto. We've learned that over and over again. Not your keys, not your crypto. So if I give it to Kraken, who stakes it, and they give me earnings in return, that's an investment product. Like, I don't know how you can call it not an investment product. If you stake on your own, you are not having a third-party investment product. But like, if Kraken went bankrupt, guess what happens to the staked crypto? It now gets used in the bankruptcy proceedings. They don't just give it back to me. So
indeed,
the SEC said, look, this is an investment scheme. You didn't disclose it properly. You didn't register it properly. Like, just because something's crypto doesn't mean it's shouldn't be regulated. I don't know. I've always thought that, if a company is taking customers' money and investing it on their behalf, like, what do you call that? Right? Like, that meets the securities laws all day long. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but this is where Paxos was different. Was I didn't expect Paxos to pay me a portion of what they earned. So is that a security? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
I have no idea. This whole securities thing and how deep it's gone, especially looking at the XRP Ripple case, is I want to say a minefield, but I think like 5-10 years down the line, things are going to be very, very, very different. I don't know how. I think with these stable tokens at the moment, the UK is trying to push ahead. I think they're calling it Britcoin, which is the sort of electronic token central bank equivalent of the pound. That it's still in very, very early stages at the moment. But instead of having a stable GBP, or I'm not sure what it's called, but there is at least a couple, they'll have that version, which I'd feel a lot safer using, to be honest, if it was directly issued from the government, because essentially it would literally be a pound, hopefully. Do you think the US government is going to do the same, or thinking about doing the same?
By the way, the crying children have gotten closer to me.
Apologies, I've just seen.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think right now they just want to get all this under control and properly regulated. And I do agree, like 5 years from now, this space it'll look similar, but in the background, regulations will be a lot more figured out. And it really sounds like they just want everyone to follow the rules that already exist. And, so if you're, which this makes me nervous for DeFi, because I don't think a Pancake Swap can claim no, none of this is an investment product or something. I don't know. It's different because it's self-custody, but you're still giving your funds to a third-party smart contract. So they're going to have to define what that contract is. Right?
Yeah.
And if a company has the ability to change the smart contract, that means the company owns your funds when it's in their smart contract. Right? If they could just decide we're going to transfer it all to this wallet and you're now out SOL, if you will, well, then that's no different than just giving it to Binance or Coinbase. Right? You can't just say no, it's a contract, so it's different. No, I'm transferring money into something that you control, and therefore, yes, you'll let me withdraw it until you don't, right? Just like an exchange will allow you to withdraw until they won't. So, potentially there'll be a distinction there if a central entity has zero control over a smart contract, then that means it is not a security. But if the central entity can change the contract, that means it is a security.
Yeah. Interesting times.
Right? Because what the SEC cares about is who has control of the funds. If an intermediary has control of the funds, you're probably operating a security.
Yeah. So what we want is completely renounced contracts that pay yields.
So that's basically what self-custody staking is. If I stake Ethereum, there's no central entity between me and the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah.
Now, if you put Kraken in between me and the blockchain, that's a different situation, or Coinbase in between me and the blockchain.
Indeed. Yeah. So, we just don't want that. Well, not necessarily we don't want it, but that middle entity that is, to an extent, managing your funds. I don't know. I assume, Pancake Swap, their farms and stuff aren't renounced, but I have no idea. They could be. I'm not sure. But that sort of middle entity. Do you know of any products that the contracts are completely renounced, that are essentially farms or staking contracts where you can just use them directly from BSC scan and not have to use the user interface of platforms, maybe like Pancake Swap and things?
Well, you should still be able to do that. You should be able to interact with Pancake Swap directly from BSC scan.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't mean that they ultimately can't change the rules.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible that they're staking contracts and LPs and things. They have no way to change, how those function. And that's why, like, when they do like a V1 to V2, you've got to withdraw your liquidity and then redeposit it into a new contract. So yeah, I don't know. And will the SEC be able to make this distinction, or they still just say, well, a central entity built it, runs a website, whatever? They're really in their eyes, they could be no different from an exchange.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot more news on this tomorrow as well. Yeah, so, sorry everyone or listeners, talking about this. It's not, not necessarily a bad piece of news, or not necessarily worrying either. But this, concentrating on this bit, for such a long time. Ben, have you got any more, I don't know, cheerful crypto news at all, or comments that we could just spruce things up with for just a little bit at all?
Something cheerful. Let's see. I don't know. Nothing seems all that cheerful at the moment.
Yeah, it's
but
quite
this is
overwhelming.
Just like this. I think this stuff will keep coming. Everyone, like, something people do need to recognize, and this is kind of cheerful. It's like, if you look at in traditional finance, these companies, break rules and get fined all the time, and then life goes on. And this may not be any different. What I think what's disappointing is that it wasn't just like Paxos got a fine and they were told to go register, or Kraken got a fine and they were told to go register. Looks like they're getting fines and they're told to stop. Right? That's the disappointing part. Now it could be, well, who works closest with the regulators? Coinbase probably works very close with regulators. So that relationship may matter. They may, the SEC. So right now, Coinbase offers a staking program. The SEC may say, here's the issues we have. You can correct them, and also here's a $30 million fine attached to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how they fund themselves or whatever. Hopefully there will still be third parties that can do this stuff. They just have to do it whatever way satisfies the SEC. Because if you can't, that's going to be a blow to crypto, because not everyone wants to self-custody this stuff.
No, it's a faff. So, I mean, when you're very new to crypto, using Binance, I remember, was hard enough. Using a centralized exchange was difficult enough. I didn't really know where my money was going at all. And then withdrawing to self-custody, even without a hardware wallet, I just thought, well, my tokens have gone into the netherworld. I don't know what's happened. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. And eventually I sort of realized what was going on. But self-custody, especially from new people into crypto, it can be very, very confusing and difficult. It is perhaps a little bit more easier than it was quite a few years ago, but it's still, you do need some technical know-how. Perhaps, actually, I was going to, say a certain generation. Maybe some generations find it easier than others, but it's difficult for everyone, I think, if you're not crypto savvy. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that. To me, it's like, I don't feel like it's self-custody's changed all that much since 2020. Like, I guess it's easier to like add a blockchain to MetaMask, right? You can push a button instead of having to put the info in yourself. Like, it's still, you still have to like secure your 12 words, and if you lose them, you just lost your money, right? It just is part of it. You like can't really change certain things. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, you need to have these, like, for example, my mom uses an exchange in the United States, and she's staking Ethereum. And
okay,
like, she really doesn't want to, at this point in her life, figure out how to do that herself.
Yeah. It's I'm not surprised.
Right?
Yeah, it's still very new and alien to a lot of people. You mentioned there, Ben, adding a new RPC URL. to your MetaMask. And I will just use that opportunity to talk about our sponsor. Hold on, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. So our sponsor, as you may have seen, is Bloxroot. They offer a product called BSC Protect RPC. I'm going to display the QR code here. So what this does, this protects you on the BNB chain from front-running or sandwich attacks. You may have seen on Deck Screener or PooCoin when you're looking through the list of trades, there might be a large buy and sell or a sell and buy in between your trade. If you've used perhaps a little bit too much slippage, this can happen, and it negatively impacts the price that you buy or sell, and also it drains liquidity from the liquidity pool. However, there is a solution. Instead of using the standard RPC URLs on the BNB chain, you can use Bloxroot BSC Protect RPC. It is completely free for people like me, consumer, retail traders. All you need to do is add a new RPC URL to your MetaMask. It's very easy indeed. If you scan the little QR code down there, it'll take you to the instruction page where you do it. And personally, this is my personal opinion, I use it. I see it as a no-brainer. I mean, why wouldn't you use this? It doesn't give you any disadvantages, but the advantages that it does give you is it means that you're not going to get front-run, sandwiched, attacked, that sort of thing. Anyway, it's been a little bit of a shorter episode this time. Concentrating on the big news. And I'm sure, we'll have more updates. Hopefully we'll have more updates tomorrow, and hopefully I'm going to be able to trade my GBP, because I don't want to be stuck with BUSD forever, even though, I'm not saying it's bad, but I just need to spend my GBP in shops. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Ben, as always, thank you as well. We're here every day, every weekday, 5 p.m. UTC. Ben, any last closing remarks, thoughts before we say cheerio?
I don't think so. I think this will just be interesting to watch, develop, and when we actually get the details as to what's going on.
Fantastic. Good. Well, see you soon, everyone. Take it easy, and always trade safe. Bye-bye.